Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, April 5th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's women's and men's college basketball games, those men's for Saturday and women's from yesterday. Look ahead to the men's national championship game for tonight. NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball from the weekend. The Valero Texas Open results, MLB Power Rankings, the latest news and notes, and my best bet of the day. All right, we're going to start with men's college basketball, the Final Four results from Saturday night, and we'll look ahead to the national championship game and obviously pick that. 1-seeded Baylor over 2-seeded Houston, 78-59. Baylor 27-2, Houston 28-4. Jared Butler at 17 to lead Baylor, and Marcus Sasser at 20 to lead Houston. And in what was the best college basketball game I've seen in a very long time, and arguably the greatest NCAA tournament game that wasn't a championship game of all time. 1-seeded Gonzaga over 11-seeded UCLA, 93-90 in overtime on near half-court buzzer beater by Jalen Suggs. Gonzaga's 31-0. UCLA finishes its magical season at 22-10. Drew Timme had 25 points for Gonzaga, and Johnny Juzang had 29 for UCLA. And Juzang really kept UCLA in that game, and he's been just awesome. He was their best player in the tournament. And now their season ends in heartbreaking fashion as Gonzaga is off to the national championship with their dream matchup with Baylor, which all begins tonight, 9:20 on CBS. My projections for this game: Gonzaga 3.5, total 154.5. Meanwhile, FanDuel has this game at 4.5 and 159.5. I'm going to take the under. I was on the over in the Gonzaga game. That was a winner. I was on the over in both games, which were winners. I think this is an under game. I think there could be nerves in this game. I like how both teams defend, although they're both good offensive teams as well. So that's the case for it going over, but I'm excited to see an under game. It's a national championship game. I think that it's going to be lower scoring than people think, so we'll go under 159.5 between Baylor and Gonzaga. In terms of Final Four for the final score for a game, I'm going to go with Gonzaga 79, Baylor 75, and that's around 154. My projected total is 154.5, so there you go. 79-75 Gonzaga as Gonzaga wins their first national championship and goes undefeated. We were going to have our first undefeated team in so long. And people will start to discuss whether Gonzaga this year is one of the greatest college basketball teams of all time, if not the greatest. All right. Now we will look back on the women's side of things from the weekend, from the Final Four, from Friday night to the national championship on Sunday night, which was last night. So we will go over the games all from the weekend. So starting with Friday night, 1-seeded Stanford over 1-seeded South Carolina, 66-65 to advance to the national title game. Stanford went to 30-2, South Carolina 26-5, Haley Jones 24, Zia Cook 25. So, great game. Stanford wins by a point. And 3-seeded Arizona upsets 1-seeded UConn 69-59, the stunner of the tournament. Arizona 21-5, UConn 28-2. Harry McDonald, who I thought was the best player in this entire tournament, or the most valuable player in this entire tournament, 26 points. And Christian Williams from UConn at 20. And then the national title game, 1-seeded Stanford over 3-seeded Arizona, 54-53, and what was a great game. Stanford 31-2, Arizona 21-6. So Arizona's magical season came to an end, and McDonald had a chance to win it at the end, but the shot was short. Stanford wins the title. Haley Jones had 17 points in the game, and she also won the most outstanding player as well. And Ari McDonald had 22 to lead Arizona. McDonald would have been for sure the most outstanding player if that shot went down. Now it would have been awesome if that shot went down, because we would have had the Gonzaga shot by Suggs, and now this shot that could have gone down by McDonald. And then Agumake had a buzzer beater for Notre Dame a couple years ago in the championship game to win it. So that would have been really an interesting subplot if McDonald hit the buzzer beater and be like, oh, women's game ended on a buzzer beater 3 years ago, or it might have been 2 years ago. I don't remember at this point. And back-to-back buzzer beaters in the men's semifinals and the women's championship. So a little bit of some what-ifs there if that shot went down by Ari McDonald. But what a great run for Arizona. And congratulations to Tara Vanderveer and that Stanford program. And Haley Jones is certainly a deserving most outstanding player. All right, now we'll move on to the NBA. We will go over the results from the weekend and look ahead to the slate for tonight. So let's begin with Friday. Raptors over the Warriors 130-77. Celtics over the Rockets 118-102. Mavs over the Knicks 99-86. Hornets over the Pacers 114-97. Grizzlies over the Timberwolves 120-108. Hawks over the Pelicans 126-103. Jazz over the Bulls 113-106. Suns over the Thunder 140-103. Bucks over the Blazers 127-109. And the Lakers over the Kings 115-94. Saturday, Mavericks over the Wizards 109-87. Heat over the Cavaliers 115-101. 76ers over the Timberwolves 122-113. Knicks over the Pistons 125-81. Pacers over the Spurs 139-133 in overtime. Jazz over the Magic 137-91. Blazers over the Thunder 133-85. And the Bucks over the Kings 129-128. Sunday, Bulls over the Nets 115-107. Clippers over the Lakers 104-86. Celtics over the Hornets 116-86. Grizzlies over the 76ers 116-100. Hawks over the Warriors 117-111. Pelicans over the Rockets 122-105. And the Nuggets over the Magic 119-109. And now today's game, 7 o'clock, NBA TV, Knicks Nets, the return of Kevin Durant in this game. I don't think the line reflects it yet, but it's going to be the return of Kevin Durant. I'm at Brooklyn 13, total 221. Meanwhile, FanDuel has this at Brooklyn by 5.5. We don't have a total yet. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with Brooklyn. I think this is a mismatch if Durant plays. Obviously, the Knicks are missing Mitchell Robinson, and he's been missed because they've had a losing record since he got injured for the second time. So I'm going to lay the 5.5 with Brooklyn against New York tonight. Wizards Raptors. I'm at Wizards 1.5, total 228.5. Meanwhile, it is Raptors by 5. We don't have a total yet. I'm taking the Wizards in the points. No Kyle Lowry in this game for Toronto, so I'm taking Washington in the points. The Jazz and the Mavericks. I'm at Jazz 7.5, total 223. Meanwhile, it's Jazz 5.5. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Jazz here. They're just better than Dallas and potentially no Porzingis as well. Kings Timberwolves. I'm at Kings 10, total 230. Meanwhile, it's Kings 3. We don't have a total yet. I'm laying the 3 in Sacramento. Pistons Thunder. I'm at Thunder 2.5, total 218.5. Meanwhile, it's Detroit by 3, total 213. I'm taking the Thunder in the points, and I am taking a plus 126 on the money line. Cavs Spurs. I'm at Spurs 7.5, total 218. Meanwhile, it's 9 and 215. I'm going to take the over here. I think that the Spurs offense has been pretty solid, and the Cavs defense is not solid, so give me over 215. And last but not least, 8 o'clock, the Suns and the Rockets. Now my Suns 23 total to 21.5. Meanwhile, the Suns 12.5. I'm going to lay to 12.5 with the Suns. Obviously, all the games are earlier than usual tonight because of the national championship game, which begins at 9 o'clock or a little after 9. And the NBA games are all at 7 or 8. So there's only going to be one NBA game that is going on at the same time as the national title game. All right, now we'll move on to the NHL and look back on the weekend's games and look ahead to what should be a busy slate for tonight. Starting with Friday night, Capitals over the Devils 2-1 in overtime on a game winner by Dmitry Orlov. Maple Leafs over the Jets 2-1 in a shootout. Oilers over the Flames 3-2. Avs over the Blues 3-2. Coyotes over the Ducks 4-2. And Sharks over the Kings 3-0. Saturday, Bruins over the Penguins 7-5. Lightning over the Red Wings 2-1. Sabres over the Rangers 3-2 in a shootout. Preds over the Blackhawks 3-0. Islanders over the Flyers 3-2 in a shootout. Stars over the Hurricanes 3-2. Panthers over the Blue Jackets 5-2. Senators over the Canadiens 6-3. Avs over the Blues 2-1. Wild over the Golden Knights 2-1. And Sharks over the Kings 3-2. Sunday's games, Red Wings over the Lightning 5-1. Caps over the Devils 5-4. Panthers over the Blue Jackets 3-0. Canes over the Stars 1-0. Leafs over the Flames 4-2. And Coyotes over the Ducks 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Jacob Chiron, who had a hat trick in the game. And the Canucks Jets obviously postponed. We'll get into more of that later. Tonight's window, 7 o'clock, you have the Oilers and the Canadiens. The Canadiens are minus 138 favorites. Edmonton's plus 118, over under 6.5. Overs plus 112, unders minus 138. Oilers plus 1.5 is minus 230. Canadiens minus 1.5 is plus 188. I'm going to go with the Oilers here, plus 118 on the money line. They have more points than the Canadiens. Maybe that's because of the COVID outbreak that the Canadiens had about a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to take the underdog Oilers at plus 118 against Montreal. Senators, Jets. Jets are minus 120. Or minus 210, my bad. Sens are plus 172. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 106. Unders minus 130. Jets minus 1.5 is plus 132. Sens plus 1.5 is minus 160. This is juice, but I'm going to go with the under 6.5. I like Connor Hellebuck, and Ottawa sometimes puts up offensive duds. And I think on the second of the back-to-back, they could do that. Flyers and the Bruins. The Flyers are plus 152. The Bruins are minus 180. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Flyers plus 1.5 is minus 166. The Bruins minus 1.5 is plus 138. I'm going to go with the over 5.5 at minus 114. I think that's kind of low. I think that Philadelphia's defense has been Swiss cheese at points. And I think their offense is capable too. So I'm going to go over 5.5 at minus 114. 8 o'clock, the Golden Knights and the Blues. The Knights are minus 142. The Blues are plus 120. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 106. Unders minus 114. Vegas minus 1.5 is plus 198. Blues plus 1.5 is minus 245. I'm going to go with under 5.5 at minus 114. I think that the Blues can defend with the Golden Knights. I like this under a lot. I think that this could be like a 3-1, 3-2 type of game. The Avalanche and the Wild. The Avs are minus 178. The Wild are plus 148. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 110. Unders minus 112. Avs minus 1.5 is plus 152. Wild plus 1.5 is minus 184. This is a hard one. I'm going to go with the Wild. They've been playing great hockey of late. They beat the Golden Knights. I think that they could beat Colorado. So they could beat the Wild at plus 148 against Colorado. 9:30, the Maple Leafs and the Flames. The Leafs are minus 156. The Flames are plus 132. No total out yet. Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 176. Flames plus 1.5 is minus 213 or 215. The Flames have underachieved big time this year. Give me the Leafs in regulation and even money. I like how Toronto's playing. They're playing great. So give me Toronto in regulation and even money. And 10 o'clock, the Coyotes and the Kings. The Kings are minus 118. The Coyotes are even money. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 106. Unders minus 128. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 315. Kings minus 1.5 is plus 250. I'm going to go with the over 5.5 plus 106. The Coyotes have been an overteam of late, with the exception of last night. They're on the second of a back-to-back, so I could see them giving up some goals and scoring some goals as well. So give me over 5.5 at plus 106. All right, now I'm going to go over the Major League Baseball results from the weekend and look ahead to the games that are being played today. So we'll begin with Friday. Orioles over the Red Sox 3-0. Rays over the Marlins 6-4. Dodgers over the Rockies 11-6. White Sox over the Angels 12-8. Astros over the Athletics 9-5. Padres over the Diamondbacks 4-2. Giants over the Mariners 6-3. Saturday, Yankees over the Blue Jays 5-3. Orioles over the Red Sox 4-2. Tigers over the Indians 5-2. Royals over the Rangers 11-4. Cubs over the Pirates 5-1. Phillies over the Braves 4-0. Astros over the Athletics 9-1. Reds over the Cardinals 6-9. Marlins over the Rays 12-7. Twins over the Brewers 2-0. Dodgers over the Rockies 6-5. Padres over the Diamondbacks 7-0. Angels over the White Sox 5-3. And the Mariners over the Giants 4-0. Mets Nats postponed. We'll get into that in the news and notes. Sunday, Blue Jays over the Yankees 3-1. Phillies over the Braves 2-1. Orioles over the Red Sox 11-3. Indians over the Tigers 9-3. Reds over the Cardinals 12-1. Twins over the Brewers 8-2. Rangers over the Royals 7-3. Cubs over the Pirates 4-3. Dodgers over the Rockies 4-2. Astros over the A's 9-2. Diamondbacks over the Padres 3-1. Angels over the White Sox 7-4. Mets Nationals postponed. Today's games, 1 o'clock, ESPN, the Twins and the Tigers. The Twins are minus 162. The Tigers are plus 136. Over under 9. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 108. Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 130. The Tigers have been somewhat surprising to start the year. They're 2-1, but I like the Twins. So give me Twins run line minus 1.5 at plus 108. I think they win by multiple runs. I think this could be like a 9-6, 8-5, something like that. Braves Nationals postponed. 4 o'clock, the Blue Jays and the Rangers. The Blue Jays are minus 156. The Rangers are plus 132. Over under 9. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. The Jays minus 1.5 is plus 108. The Rangers plus 1.5 is minus 130. I'm going to take a shot here at the Rangers plus 132 on the money line. I like Mike Fultonevich. Steven Matz is terrible. So give me the Rangers plus 132 straight up against the Blue Jays. 4 o'clock ESPN, Royals Indians. The Indians are minus 118. The Royals are even money. Over under 9. Royals plus 1.5 is minus 196. Indians minus 1.5 is plus 162. I'm going to go with under 9. I don't feel good about it. But I could see a world where Logan Allen pitches well. Royals offense slows down. It's going to be under 9. 6:30 Pirates Reds. The Pirates are plus 128. The Reds are minus 152. Over under 9.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Pirates plus 1.5 is minus 160. Reds minus 1.5 is plus 132. I'm going to go with the over. The Reds offense is shown a capability so far, especially on Saturday. I think this is like a 6-4, 7-4, 7-5 type of game. Orioles-Yankees. The Yankees minus 250. The Orioles are plus 205. Over under 10. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 118. Orioles plus 1.5 is plus 102. The Yankees minus 1.5 is minus 122. I'm going to go under 10. It'll juice minus 118. The Yankees have been an under team so far this year. Their offense has yet to wake up. Baltimore's offense really showed a lot in that Red Sox series, especially yesterday. But the Yankees have much better pitching than the Red Sox. And I like the under. And that's the other reason why I'm taking the under. Not just the Yankee bats that have been cold. The Yankee pitching has been hot. Yankees will probably win the game to get back to 500, but I'm going to go under 10 at minus 118 for the play. Cardinals, Marlins. The Marlins minus 116. The Cardinals are minus 102. Over under 8. Over is minus 118. Under is minus 104. Cardinals minus 1.5 is plus 160. Marlins plus 1.5 is minus 194. I'm going to go with the Cardinals on the money line at minus 102. I don't understand why the Cardinals are a minus on the run line, but an underdog on the money line. That makes no sense to me. I'm going to lay the minus 102 at the Cardinals. 7 o'clock, the Mets and the Phillies. So the Mets begin their season. They're minus 235 favorites of Jacob deGrom on the mound. Matt Moore and the Phillies plus 194. Over under 7.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. The Mets minus 1.5 is minus 126. The Phillies plus 1.5 is plus 105. I'm going to go over 7.5 at even money. I think the Met offense can hit Matt Moore a lot. I won't be surprised if this is a 9-0 shutout for deGrom and the Mets. By the way, the rest of the pitching matchups that I didn't say. Matt Shoemaker and Jose Urena for Twins Tigers. Steven Matz and Mike Fulton-Evans for Blue Jays Rangers. Danny Duffy, Logan Allen for Royals Indians. Orioles Yanks is Jorge Lopez and Jordan Montgomery. Pirates Reds is JT Brubaker and Jose De Leon. Cardinals Marlins is Daniel Ponce de Leon and Trevor Rogers. And then obviously, like I just mentioned, Jake deGrom and Matt Moore for Mets Phils. ESPN at 7 o'clock, you have the Rays and the Red Sox. I got to admit, a very mediocre slate today. The opening day slate was miles better. Obviously took a major hit with losing Mets-Nats, but this is a mediocre slate. A lot of bad teams in here. The Raiders are minus 118. The Red Sox are even money. Over under 9.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Rays minus 1.5 is plus 134. The Red Sox plus 1.5 is minus 162. I'm getting a lot of value here on the Rays. The Red Sox are just terrible. They're going to be 0-4 by the end of the night. I'm laying the minus 118 with the Rays. 7:30, the Brewers and the Cubs. The Cubs minus 118. The Brewers are even money. We don't have sides or total yet. I'm taking the Brewers at even money against the Cubs. The Cubs have been fine so far, but the Pirates are their opponent. Brett Anderson's not terrible. So I'm going to take an underdog shot here at the Brewers against the Cubs. 9:30, the Astros and the Angels. The Angels are minus 120. The Astros are plus 102. Over under 9.5. Overs minus 160. Unders minus 114. The Astros minus 1.5 is plus 164. The Angels plus 1.5 is minus 200. I'm surprised that the Angels are favored here, to be honest. I think it's because of the pitcher. Again, the Astros are favored on the run line, but not on the money line. It's like the Cardinals situation. I'm taking the Astros plus 102 against Jose Quintana and the Angels. Dodgers Athletics, Dustin May and Frankie Montas. Luis Garcia, by the way, is the pitcher for the Astros. Dodgers minus 164. The A's are plus 138. Over under 9. Overs minus 105. The unders minus 115. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 105. A's plus 1.5 is minus 126. The A's are 0-4. They're due. I'm taking the A's plus 138 to win on the money line. 10 o'clock ESPN, White Sox Mariners, Carlos Rodon, Justice Sheffield. The White Sox are minus 124. The Mariners are plus 106. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. White Sox minus 1.5 is plus 136. Mariners plus 1.5 is minus 164. I'm going to go over 8.5 at minus 115. Sheffield and Rodon are not great pitchers. So we'll go over 8.5 and -105. And last but not least, the Giants and the Padres. Anthony DeSclafani and Adrian Morjon. The Padres are -118. Or, I'm sorry, -180. The Giants are +152. Over under 8.5. Over is -120. Under is -102. Giants +1.5 is -137. Padres -1.5 is +114. A hard call here, but I'm going to go with the Giants straight up at +152. Adrian Morjon's a little bit of an unknown still. DeSclafani is a veteran, been there, done that. I'm going to go Giants money line in my upset special against the offseason darling San Diego Padres of the National League. All right, now I'm going to go over the results in the Valero Texas Open from the weekend. It was an interesting tournament, to say the least. And your winner of the Valero Texas Open, his first win in 4 years, Jordan Spieth. He won it with the score of 18 under. Second place was Charlie Hoffman at 16 under. Third place was Matt Wallace at 14 under. Fourth place was Lucas Clover at 12 under. Fifth place was Anirban Lahiri with 10 under. Tied for sixth with 9 under, Gary Woodland, Chris Kirk, and Brant Snecker. Tied for ninth with 8 under, Cam Triangle, Sebastian Munoz, and Patton Kizier. Tied for 12th with 7 under, Tom Hoge and Matt Kuchar. Tied for 14th with 6 under, Evan Van Rooyen, Eric Van Rooyen, and Kyle Stanley. Tied for 17th with 5 under is a big tie. Ryan Palmer, Ricky Fowler, Luke List, Keith Mitchell, Brandon Hagee, and Camilo Villegas. Tied for 23rd with 4 under, Abraham Answer, Kyung-Hoo Lee, Keegan Bradley, Siwoo Kim, Brandon Grace, Adam Hadwin, and Chesson Hadley. Tied for 30th with 3 under, KJ Choi, Rory Sabantini, Hideki Matsuyama, and Martin Laird. Tied for 34th with 2 under, Dylan McCarthy, Ben Martin, Joseph Bramlett, Vincent Whaley, Troy Merritt, Rafael Campos, Bo Van Pelt, Cam Champ, Lucas Griffin, and Matthew Neesmith. Tied for 44th with 1 under, Doc Redman, Tyler Duncan, Aaron Weiss, Vaughn Taylor, Rafa Cabrera Bello, Sam Fedone, Chase Seifert, Doug Gim, Martin Schrader, and Kelly Craft. Tied for 54th at even was Tom Lewis, Scotty Scheffler, Gray McDowell, Seyoung Yul No, and Kevin Stadler. Notables the rest of the way, tied for 59th with 1 over DJ Taran. Charles Schwartzel was in the tie for 69th with 3 over. Joel Donovan was 74th with 4 over. Brendan Steele was 77th with 7 over. Among those cut, Harold Varner III, Tony Finau, very disappointing tournament for him. Zach Johnson, Adam Long, Adam Landry, Patrick Rogers, Phil Mickelson, J.J. Colleen, J.J. Spawn, Henrik Norlander, Danny Lee withdrew, and Cameron Percy got disqualified. All right, now I'm going to do my MLB power rankings, my first set of power rankings for the season. Not really anything drastic in terms of preseason changes. Some little things. Number 30 is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're 1-2. They're still the worst team in baseball. Brian Hayes on the IL. 29, the Boston Red Sox. They've been awful. They're 0-3. They got swept by the Orioles. They're not hitting or pitching. 28, the Colorado Rockies. They won on opening day, but have lost every game since. 27, the Texas Rangers. They've had some moments against the Royals. Their offense has been good, but their pitching still isn't there. 26 is the Detroit Tigers, a surprising 2-1. But lost yesterday. 25, the Seattle Mariners. They've had some moments over the weekend as well. They're 2-1. 24 is the Baltimore Orioles. They're also 2-1. Or I'm sorry, they're 3-0. They swept the Red Sox. Big series coming up for them in the Bronx against the Yankees to prove themselves a little bit. 23, the Miami Marlins. The Marlins are not bad. They put up a good number against the Rays on Saturday. Number 22, the Oakland Athletics. They've been bad. They're 0-4. But like I said, teams going to have the slow starts that I'm high on. I usually give the benefit of the doubt for a couple weeks or so. But they got swept by the Astros. Number 21, the Arizona Diamondbacks. They really have not been that good so far to start the year. They got the win, though, yesterday. 20, San Francisco Giants. They've been okay to start the season. They are 1-2. 19, the Kansas City Royals. They're 2-1. They put up some shows offensively against the Rangers. Number 18, the Milwaukee Brewers. They're 1-2. They won on opening day on a walk-off, but lost the other 2 games against Minnesota. 17, the Cleveland Indians. Disappointing 1-2 to begin the year. Their offense really hasn't done much. Number 16, the Los Angeles Angels. They should be a little bit higher than this because they got the win last night and are now 3-1 to begin the year. They got the walk-off from Blair Walsh last night. Jared Walsh, my bad. 15, the Chicago Cubs. 2-1 to begin the year, but that was against the Pirates. 14, the Cincinnati Reds. They're 2-1 on the year. More impressive 2-1 than the Cubs. 2-1. The Reds are doing it in different ways. 13, the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 2-1. They're an impressive 2-1, but at the same time, it was unimpressive. They should have lost to the Yankees, arguably both yesterday and on opening day. The Yankees have lost so many men on base and had chances to win it on opening day. But at worst, Toronto should be 1-2. But you could argue 0-3. Number 12, the St. Louis Cardinals. They're 1-2. There's some bad luck stuff going on with them. They played great on opening day, but really wiped the bed the last 2 games. 11, the Tampa Bay Rays. They've been solid. Saturday against the Marlins was not solid, though. 10 New York Mets have yet to play a game this year. It begins tonight against the Phillies. 9, the Washington Nationals. They've yet to play a game this year. It will probably all begin tomorrow against Atlanta. We'll get more of it in the news and notes segment. 8, the San Diego Padres. They've lived up to the hype so far. 3-1 on the year. Number 7, the Minnesota Twins. They're 2-1. After losing in heartbreaking fashion on opening day, they rebound for 2 wins in a row. 6, the Philadelphia Phillies, undefeated 3-0. Their bullpen's been very good. Number 5, the Atlanta Braves, a disappointing 0-3. But you could argue that they should be in the top 3 still. They lost an opening day on a walk-off. That was a winnable game. You could argue that yesterday was winnable for Atlanta 2-1. They just couldn't get anything going offensively, and at 4-0, they really didn't get anything going. And number 4, the New York Yankees. The Yankees and the Braves that had similar weekends, to the extent that their offenses were not showing up to the party. I'm still high on both of these teams. Both these teams have pitched well over the weekend, but they have not hit. The Yankees are ahead of the Braves because the Yankees won a game. The Braves did not. And you could argue the Blue Jays are better than the Phillies. That's the other argument you can make. And I think that is a legit argument, although the Phillies have a better rotation. But the Blue Jays, I think, have a better offense than Philly. 2 very similar teams, though, Philly and Toronto. But Yanks, disappointing weekend, 1-2. Arguably should have won on opening day. You could argue that they should have won yesterday, too. If a couple things went right for them. Michael King was great out of the bullpen yesterday. Number 3, the Chicago White Sox. They're 1-3. But at least they're hitting. Unlucky last night with the walk-off homer. A couple of other unlucky stuff that happened to them. Blew the game on opening night. Number 2, the Houston Astros. They're 4-0. They have a big chip on their shoulder. A big FU to the doubters. Very impressive, though, against Oakland. We'll see if they can follow it up. And they're a dog tonight against the Angels, which is ridiculous. And number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. If there wasn't any doubt, 3-1. Probably should have won on opening day against the Rockies. But that what should have been a home run changed that game, and that's probably why they lost to the Rockies on opening day. But again, they were similar to the Yankees on opening day, except they scored more runs. They scored runs because the Rockies can't pitch, and they're in Coors Field. But they left so many men on base on opening day, and Clayton Kershaw was not Clayton Kershaw. That's in reality why they lost, although if you can make a case for it, you could argue that on that what should have been home run is why everyone's going to point to and why they really lost the game. But yeah, the Dodgers are still number 1. Arguably should be 4-0, but they're 3-1. They're still the best team in baseball to me until further notice. All right, the latest news and notes. A couple COVID outbreaks I want to talk about. The biggest one we've had ever in the NHL with the Vancouver Canucks. It seems like every day they're getting a new positive by the day. I think there's no doubt that they have to delay the North Division playoffs because Vancouver has to make up all their games. It's just unfortunate with the situation, and the names of the players that tested positive were released, including Braden Holtby, Thatcher Demko, Bo Horvat, Quinn Hughes, among them. So, here's the list. Boyd, Chatfield, Demko, Edler, Gaudette, Hamonic, Harluck, Holtby, Horvat, Hughes, McEwen, McKellis, Mott, Myers, Russell, and Sutter. 16. 16 players on the COVID protocol list. If Vancouver were to come back potentially at the end of the week or early next week, you're going to be seeing a lot of AHL players on their roster. And I know they've called a couple of them up on the roster. And I don't think we're going to see the Canucks play until next week, to be honest. And it's disappointing, obviously. And the NHL's Bill Daly says no consideration yet to shortening Canucks season. This is the worst coronavirus outbreak we've had in all the sports so far. It's worse than the Marlins. It's worse than the Cardinals. And this has been going on longer than the Washington Nationals, one which we're going to get to next, and they're going to be coming back potentially tomorrow. But yeah, and there's over 16 positives. There's 16 players, and then there's a lot of coaches that are positive as well. Hopefully everybody gets well soon, and hopefully the Canucks are back on the ice sooner rather than later. And this is obviously the worst outbreak, like I said, that any team has had in sports. And the other outbreaks, obviously the Washington Nationals, they've had 4 positives among players. I think that Jan Gomes is among them because they went out and signed Jonathan Lucroy for catching depth. But the good news is that the Nationals will return on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, at home against the Braves, which will be a great game. They had no positives yesterday, which is good news. And assuming there's no positives today, then we are going to have the Nationals playing baseball. And obviously the Mets are starting tonight. So it's sooner rather than later, we're going to have all 30 teams in action. I think that there are some teams that are off on Tuesday because of home openers. So let's see. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 28 of the 30 teams play on Tuesday because there's a rain date for a home opener for somebody. So, yeah. So that's good that the Nationals are coming back. And we missed out on a Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer opening day matchup. But we're probably going to see a good pitching matchup in Braves-Nationals tomorrow or sometime through the week. But we don't know if Scherzer's one of the people that had COVID or not, or John Lester, or who. But what I was told is that John Lester was one of the people in close contact. So we're going to see the Nationals have not announced their rotation yet, so we'll talk about it, obviously, as we preview those games throughout the week. So the Oklahoma vacancy has been filled, and the man who took the job, Porter Moser. Obviously the former Loyola Chicago coach, now will replace Lon Kruger at Oklahoma. This is a great hire for them. I think Porter could have gone somewhere better, but no. In the end, I decided to go with Mike Woodson. Texas decided to go with Chris Beer, but I can't fault them for that. And now we have another good coach in the Big 12, Porter Moser. And then obviously another Big 12 job is open in Texas Tech that is yet to be filled. Yeah, Porter Moser, very good hire. He's going to bring a different style to Oklahoma, like a defense first type of style like he had at Loyola. And Loyola's really going to miss Porter Moser. And that program, I think, is going to take a step back for a little bit. And then it'll be Drake or somebody else that could own the MVC for the next couple of seasons, with Porter Moser out of Loyola Chicago and on to better things. So that's the other subplot of this. And now you have 9 good coaches in the Big 12 and potentially 10, and will probably be 10. Bill Self, who signed a lifelong contract with Kansas, that tells me that they were a tiny bit afraid that he was going to bounce for Carolina, which we'll get to in a second. Scott Drew, who's in the national championship game. Bob Huggins, who has made West Virginia relevant. Mike Boynton, who's done a good job at Oklahoma State getting a lot out of that program. Bruce Weber, who's had some good teams at Kansas State and made the Elite Eight a few years ago. Jamie Dixon at TCU, down year last year, but has potential to bounce back in 21-22. Iowa State has a new coach. With PJ Ulterberger, who comes over from UNLV. And that's obviously now a job that was filled by one of PJ's assistants. Ironically, the son of Lon Kruger. So that's a random little tie there. And then you have Beard at Texas. And Tech's going to probably get a good new coach. And now you have Moser at Oklahoma. So you have a ton of good coaches in the Big 12. And you could argue that the Big 12 has the best set of coaches in their league. Obviously, the ACC has a couple legends still, even with Roy retiring. They still have Coach K and Boeheim. And they have some other good coaches, too, like Josh Pastner and Tony Bennett. And speaking of the ACC in North Carolina, the front runner for the UNC job is Hubert Davis. If Hubert Davis gets this job, that all but tells me that he was the coach in waiting this whole time, and North Carolina is unwilling to admit it, and they are applying the NFL's Rooney Rule to hide the fact that this was the coach in waiting this whole time. We're going to see if that comes into fruition, but I know there's some other names in play for the Carolina job that I've talked about on the podcast on Friday, and other people on the internet have thrown around. And once North Carolina makes it hire, we will talk about it on the show. And John Rahm's wife gave birth over the weekend. This was a very big deal because John Rahm said if his wife was in labor during the Masters, then he would not play in the Masters. I don't blame him one bit, because the birth of a child is a special moment in your life, and you obviously want to be there for it. And Rahm's wife gave birth a week earlier than she was supposed to, so it looks like that John Rahm will play in the Masters next weekend. And obviously I'll make my pick for the Masters on the podcast on Wednesday. So congratulations to the Rahm family. All right, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. Some interesting stuff on the board for sure. A couple standout bets that I could potentially pull the trigger on. I'm thinking about Sacramento minus the points against Minnesota in the NBA. Thinking about some Major League Baseball as well. By the way, the Yankees under went down to 9.5 with the Orioles. But you know what? And now the Astros and Angels are even. I'm going to lay the 108 with the Astros. I don't love the pick necessarily just because I don't see anything that catches my eye. But I'm going to lay a unit on the Astros money line against the Angels. All right, so that's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping the national championship game, NBA, NHL, and MLB games. Look ahead to tomorrow's games in each sport. I may or may not have an activity in store. You may wait to find out. And I'm going to do NBA Power Rankings on Wednesday, NFL Mock Draft on Thursday, NHL Power Rankings on Friday. Maybe I'll have a guest on tomorrow. You never know. So, yeah. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.